The room was quiet long before the lights came on. It was the kind of quiet that felt soft, not empty, like the air itself was waiting. The stage stood wide and clean, polished until it reflected the ceiling lights like still water. In the distance, rows of seats faded into shadow. Cameras rested in place, unmoving, as if holding their breath. Simon Cowell sat at the judge's table with his arms crossed loosely, his face calm but unreadable. He had been in rooms like this for decades. He had heard thousands of voices. Some were good, some were unforgettable, most faded the moment the sound stopped. Tonight felt no different to him. Or at least, that was what he told himself. Backstage, 5 Filipino teenagers stood close together in a narrow hallway painted in pale gray. The walls were cool to the touch. The air smelled faintly of dust and cables. Their hands shook, not from fear alone, but from everything they carried with them into this place. There was Mateo, the oldest at 17, tall and quiet, with eyes that always looked like he was listening to something far away. There was Lucas, 16, with restless fingers and a habit of whispering jokes when the silence became too heavy. There was Noah, 15, small for his age, whose voice was the softest when he spoke and the strongest when he sang. There was Eli, also 15, serious and careful, who counted his breaths the way his grandmother had taught him. And there was Ben, just 14, the youngest, with a smile that tried to hide how afraid he was. They wore simple clothes, nothing flashy, just clean shirts, dark pants, and shoes they had polished together the night before in their hotel room. They had argued softly about whether they looked too plain. In the end, they decided it didn't matter. Their voices were the only thing they truly owned. Their problem was not talent. It never had been. Their problem was being heard. Back home, they practiced in borrowed spaces. Sometimes it was a school classroom after everyone had left. Sometimes it was a small church hall where the echo made every mistake feel bigger. Sometimes it was outside, near the water, where the sound of traffic blended with their harmonies. Neighbors complained. Teachers warned them to focus on real plans. Money was tight. Time was tighter. More than once, they almost gave up. Mateo worked evenings helping his uncle at a repair shop. Lucas shared a room with 2 younger brothers who never slept early. Noah's parents worried singing would lead nowhere. Eli had been told more than once that his voice was too different. Ben was often told he was simply too young to dream this big. What kept them together was not confidence. It was trust. They trusted that when one voice trembled, another would steady it. They trusted that silence could be as powerful as sound. They trusted that even if the world did not listen, they would listen to each other. A production assistant stepped into the hallway and called their group number. Her voice was gentle but firm. This was it. They walked toward the stage together, their footsteps slow and measured. The closer they got, the brighter the lights became. The quiet changed shape. It was no longer soft. It was sharp, filled with expectation. When they stepped onto the stage, the lights warmed their faces. The audience was there now, real and present, a sea of faces and shadows. Some smiled, some looked curious, some looked tired. Simon Cowell leaned forward slightly, his eyes scanning them without judgment, but without promise. "Take your time," someone said softly from offstage. Mateo nodded. He took a breath that seemed to travel through all 5 of them. They did not rush. They stood still. They let the moment settle. Their introduction was simple, short answers, quiet voices. They did not try to be charming. They did not tell a dramatic story. They only said they loved to sing together. Simon listened. He had heard that sentence many times before. When the music did not start immediately, there was a small shift in the room. A few audience members leaned forward. Silence stretched. Then Noah began. It was just one note at first. Low and steady, it floated out into the room like a single thread of sound. Clear, unforced. Eli joined him, slightly higher, weaving around the note with care. The harmony was gentle, almost fragile. Mateo followed, grounding the sound, giving it weight without heaviness. Lucas came in next, his voice adding warmth, color, something unexpected. Ben was last. His voice rose above the others, not loud, but bright, like light through a window. The room changed. The sound did not rush. It did not try to impress. It moved slowly, filling space the way water fills a bowl, reaching every edge without spilling. Simon Cowell's posture shifted. He sat up straighter, his arms uncrossing without him realizing it. The audience grew still. Phones that had been lifted slowly lowered again. People stopped whispering. The song spoke of waiting, of standing at the edge of something unknown, of hoping without knowing if hope would answer back. Each voice had its place. No one tried to stand above the others. When one voice stepped forward, the others softened. When one pulled back, the others held the line. There was a moment in the middle of the song where everything dropped away except Mateo's voice. It was not perfect. There was a slight roughness, a human edge. It made the sound feel real, honest. Then, gently, the others returned. The twist came quietly. Instead of building toward something loud, they grew softer. The harmony thinned. The space between notes widened. It felt like walking into open air after being in a crowded room. Simon felt something tighten in his chest. Not excitement, not surprise, recognition. He had spent years searching for moments that could not be planned. Moments where the room forgot itself. This was one of them. The final note did not end sharply. It faded, slowly, until it felt like it had simply become part of the silence. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the room breathed again. Applause rose, not explosive, but deep and full. It rolled forward in waves. Some people stood, some wiped their eyes without knowing why. Simon remained seated, his expression unreadable, but his eyes stayed fixed on the 5 teenagers as if he were seeing them for the first time. They stood there, hands trembling now, unsure what came next. Ben swallowed hard. Lucas stared at the floor. Eli closed his eyes for one brief second. Mateo looked straight ahead. Simon finally spoke. He did not shout. He did not smile right away. That, he said slowly, was unexpected. The word hung in the air. He paused, letting it settle. The teens waited. I hear a lot of good voices, Simon continued. But what I heard just now was something else. You listened to each other. You trusted the silence. That takes maturity. Noah felt his eyes burn. He blinked and kept still. You didn't try to be stars, Simon said. You tried to be honest. He leaned back slightly, nodding once. That's why it worked. The applause came again, stronger this time. The teenagers looked at each other, disbelief passing silently between them. They did not jump. They did not scream. They only smiled, small and careful, as if afraid the moment might break.